Hello and welcome to another Board of Education meeting recap, this time for the month of August 2021, back to school. I'm J.D. Harden, Executive Director of PR and Media Relations, joined by my co-host, Mary Elizabeth Davis.
It's good to see you, J.D., and as always, it's great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
We are so excited to have you here as we kicked off the start of a brand new school year here in Henry County Schools, and excitement is an understatement. The energy was palpable. The hustle and bustle, people getting back to schools and those routines really stood out as we scanned the entire district on the first day of school.
We claimed it would be the best first day ever, Henry County, and it really was. A huge recognition to our leaders, our teachers, and our support professionals who really brought learning back to life as we came together in community inside our schools. I also want to say thank you to our students and our families who eagerly returned to the start of a school year expecting the best to be on the horizon. And it really was. And of course, as part of our responsibility, we've continued to talk about how we remain committed to conversation, dialogue, and discussion while we coordinate serving our community with our Piedmont Henry executives, our Department of Public Health officials, our emergency management officials, and our county leaders. So as we started this board meeting, it was with the realization that I had moved our organization swiftly to a level 4 for our mitigation strategies. And what that really means is we will do everything we know works in order to keep our schools open and responsible and safe so the kids can have access to their education in their classrooms and in their school facility. But by doing so, we had to make some adjustments to the structure of our board meeting in order to respond to the county's call that we really contain our public environments and really increase the attention to the safety that we provide our community. So first and foremost, we knew we had to communicate quickly. That's been our commitment to our community all along. We also knew we had to use the information that was rapidly evolving to make quick acting decisions. And that's our commitment to continue to do that for our organization, our employees, our families, our students, and our community. And we also knew we had to continue with the business of the board. There's important work happening here in Henry County Schools so that our children have access to the best possible place there is to learn. And so as our board meeting got underway, we did not stop focusing on the extraordinary work of this Henry County school system. So let's get started talking a little bit about that work.
Well, once we had all that underway, we were then able to really celebrate and focus in on that best first day ever. And we have a little video that recaps that, from the buses rolling to the students walking into the buildings to the learning happening on the first day. Let's take a look.
First day ever.
Best first day ever.
Yes.
It's going to be the best day ever.
Best first day of school ever.
Best first day ever.
Best first day ever.
Best first day ever.
Best first day ever.
Welcome back.
Good morning. Welcome back.
It is my first day of my first year, and it was the best first day I could have asked for.
That just brings all of the excitement right back to me. I mean, wasn't that amazing, JD?
when you see those faces, boarding buses walking into school, the eyes that were smiling behind masks for some students, and for families and teachers, all across, there was just so much, anticipation of that first day of school, and we're so glad to have the school year underway. And that really transitions us to the opportunity to talk about the community-inspired strategic plan that will guide us this year and through the next 4 years beyond this school year. And as a part of our commitment to the transparency of the work of the board and the plan that was inspired by the community, we will start to provide quarterly reports to our community around the work that is taking place all across our district. And this month we had our very first quarterly report, which we were able to really unveil how that would look, how that would be structured, the reporting mechanisms behind that, and we were able to really talk about some of the key accomplishments so far. It's a big plan. It's not going to be accomplished in 1 year. There are many, many layers to it, but we were able to share along the way the things that have been accomplished, and some of those being like a new welcome center that was articulated in one of the strategic action areas, but some other key items that were a part of that we were able to share with the board.
Yeah, I think really the good news is, and what's exciting is that while we do care deeply about managing this moment well for kids to be in school and for teachers to be teaching and our support staff to be operating effectively, we also know our responsibility to be planning for the future that our community inspired. And so 45 months is what is equivalent to 5 years, and this has been the first quarterly report that you will begin to see about every 3 months for the next 45 months. What I'd really invite you to do is keep digging into that strategic plan and see just how the progress is being made by visiting our website, taking a look at the details, taking a look at the initiatives, and the timeline for which each will be implemented. And really, we join in the excitement as we continue to pursue the hopes, dreams, and aspirations of our community.
Let's hear a little bit from our board, who had several positive comments after seeing the report for the first time.
I'm super excited about our community getting to see this quarterly report, especially as it continues to grow and things move from the research and design phase to investment, implementation, and completion. And I think it's amazing to even see it like this on paper after hearing the voices of our community. It's just a beautiful picture to come to life.
I would just like to say I'm so excited about the priority student outcomes and the entire strategic plan. As the community can see, we are working extremely hard on behalf of the students in this county. Now we're up to 44,000, and they're still coming, and we're still working hard.
I just would love to tell Dr. Davis, give you a big kiss. Thank you for everything you do, because I know the job of superintendent is probably one of the most thankless jobs there is behind being a board member at times.
We took a deeper dive in one of our strategic initiatives, and that was really around writing, creating powerful readers and writers here in Henry County Schools. And our community's been pretty unified on the significant role that strong writing instruction and learning to write at high levels plays for our young people. And so Ms. Morse was able to provide an update on our progress and really some key implementation pieces this very year. One being very direct instruction and resources for our teachers in K through 3rd grade on handwriting, and really dedicating time of instruction and time for young people to practice that fine motor skill that becomes so essential as they grow as a learner, and how it's actually now part of the report card in those grade levels so that our families feel informed of their child's progress on that skill. Now, that's only one fundamental component of a larger writing responsibility, and so training related to writing for our teachers and really setting course for how we acquire new resources to support our teachers in the instruction of writing. I believe our board's unity, our board's commitment around this particular instructional objective is very clear, and we had some great conversation about it.
I have a 1st grader, and it has been super exciting these first 3 days of school to see samples of penmanship practice coming home. I mean, the first day of school, that is amazing.
I know it's well needed. When I was teaching, I enjoyed cursive writing, but then all of a sudden it disappeared, so I'm glad we're bringing it back.
And as you can see, strong readers and writers will lead to great things for our students all across our school district. And speaking of, strong readers and writers and that academic focus, let's talk about back to school for the 2021-22 school year. Mr. Kirkstrom, Chief Officer of School Leadership for the school district, was able to provide a report to the board about going back to school and all the first day excitement and activities that was seen from all corners of the county. He was able to really detail some of the strong plans that had been enacted ahead of time to ensure the smoothest of starts, and that's exactly what was able to be accomplished on the first day. Now, we recognize that the first day we will work through some of our services and some of the processes that we have for our school community, and we're getting better. One of those being transportation, and of course, when you have 60% of your school district riding the bus, you're going to see a lot of buses out on the road, and of course, that brings a lot of traffic too. So, as we always encourage our community on the beginning of a new school year, is just be patient with us through those traffic delays, as we know that so many people are getting their students to school either safely on a bus or in their own personal vehicle. But in addition to that, our buildings were open. We had over 90% of our students back in person in class, but also we had several of our students across the district taking advantage of the Impact Academy virtual option. And we know that, we want to have those options for our families as we move into this school year.
Yeah, that's right. And really, we were able to assess the effectiveness of our systems and structures on our first 3 days. That's what the weekend afforded our organization. And one of the places we know that there is an opportunity for continuous improvement and resetting some commitments to our community is through transportation. Let's listen in as we discuss our transportation improvement plan.
Moving forward, as we see in particular the COVID cases starting to pop up and affecting transportation, we need targeted communication to those families. We started doing that Thursday and Friday. Of course, we didn't do that before Wednesday, so we need to be better about that. We need to look into ways to reward our existing bus drivers, bus monitors, and the like. So retention type, how can we retain the bus drivers that we have? Because many of our bus drivers right now are doing double routes. We've done that before. It's elevated right now, for sure. So we need to look into that. We need to look into recruitment incentives. You've seen some of that in the news. There are counties that are doing that. We need to do that as well. So we'll continue to look into all of those and more.
I want the community to know that we witnessed literally all hands on deck to make that happen. The best they could do with what they had. It truly was remarkable. And so I also want to say thank you to you all, our transportation team, our bus drivers, bus monitors, everyone. It really was a team effort. And we got to see that. A mechanic hopping on a bus, doing his part, to drive a school bus. It just really was amazing. So that just really demonstrates the passion that all of our employees have.
So we are back in school, and the work of the Board of Education continues to be grounded in policy. And so this board meeting featured one of the board's reform policies that they had their hands in crafting related to digital literacy. It's actually Henry's plan for digital literacy, and this really stemmed out of a belief that while devices play an important role in academics, they did pre-pandemic and certainly during the pandemic. And as we emerge into an in-person learning environment for a majority of our students, how do we begin to refocus our balance on screen time, on digital usage, and how the role of print and written resources exist in our students' experience as a young person? Our board is very passionate about not only this balance of screen time, but also this education of not just young people and educators, but also of our families, of some of the dangers and the responsibilities that come with personal use of a device as well as academic use of a device. And so this really sets the course for further work in order to build out that type of education materials as well as expectations for our young people's experience in the classroom. Well, let's listen.
This is amazing. In this world, it could not be more timely. And in this world where we find ourselves using more and more digital resources, I think it is imperative and really our responsibility to ensure that students and families know how to do so with a healthy balance and do so safely.
So moving along to the operational effectiveness portion of the study session, we were able to hear an update on our construction reports provided by Mr. Josh Malcolm, our Chief Operation Officer. We're going to see him a lot more as we move into the months ahead because East Block 6, which was just passed overwhelmingly by our voters here in the county, thank you, will be sharing updates on the construction projects as they happen. Every step of the way, that transparency to the board and to the community about where we are in that timeline of projects. He'll be sharing those updates. So stay tuned so you can stay on top of all of the information as it happens. But we also heard our financial reports from our interim Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Jeff Alley, a familiar face to many of you here in Henry County Schools. Mr. Alley came back and is filling in, and he was able to update the board on the financial reports and really close out the 2021 fiscal year. And as a part of that, he had a lot of great news. We had a lot of great financial efficiency, that was exhibited, resulting in some savings for the district.
Yeah, it's really true. And as a matter of fact, we were in August just 1 year ago finally adopting a budget for the fiscal year that had already been underway. We knew we did so with so much strain on revenue and uncertainty in the future of revenue, and really built a budget that would rely on $24 million of reserves. Well, as the year unfolded, the smart and quick-acting leadership of our Board of Education allowed this organization to not only see a revenue offset, but an unbelievable savings in expenditures that actually resulted in our organization investing $8 million new dollars into our fund balance. Now, this incredible work is really just a testament to restabilizing the infrastructure of our financial operations and really positioning Henry County Schools to prepare for the future well. And honestly, this year-end report, it really got us, walked us right into the business item, and the very first business item that the board ultimately took action on that evening was the general obligation bond sale that occurred earlier that day. The bond rating interviews that have occurred in the weeks prior really resulted in commendations regarding the financial practices of this Board of Education. The complementary view and perspective on our financial security was then seen as a very positive, promising, and enticing condition for investors on Monday morning as they pursued investing in our bond sale. Now, that bond sale is what sets us up to begin our East Block 6 program, which, as we've referenced, will be well underway and reported on starting in September. But this is a moment of our community to pause, be proud of our Board of Education for their financial stewardship, and simultaneously recognize that when the community comes together around East Block, it is really highly valued among our nation of investors. And so really, this was a great discussion about setting the stage for a great fiscal year on the horizon. We obviously had some other business items as we discussed in the study session and then took action on in the business meeting. And JD, why don't you tell us a little bit more about them?
Of course, in addition to a few contracts that the board, standard operating procedures that they were responsible for, one of the items that was brought up as a part of the business items was the application for ARPA funds that is required of the school district to submit to the state. And so that portion was presented and delivered by Ms. Melissa Morse, and she was able to really detail the items that our school district has identified as key for moving through this pandemic, thanks to the federally approved funds for school districts to help recover through the pandemic. We will have these items listed on our website. You can find them under the ESSER section, also under our Financial Services tab. You'll be able to see all the things that we are utilizing federal funds for to help support as we move through not only this year, but in the few years that follow as provided in the guidelines of the federal reporting. So exciting information there. Of course, there were a few other items that were listed under the business items. Each one of those items was approved as a part of a consent agenda in the evening business session. And of course, as we mentioned earlier in this broadcast, our evening business session was modified a little bit based off the recommendations from our county for the safety and security of a large meeting. We did have to suspend our in-person inspiration as well as our awards and recognition and our public participation. But just like we've done in previous meetings where we've had limited capacity and also tight restrictions on the movement of our board meetings, we still have that opportunity, as we do every day, for our community to share their thoughts, their ideas, their concerns with our members of the Board of Education. And they can do that by going to or emailing public comments, and that's comments with an S, at henry.k12.ga.us, and there they will be received and distributed as needed to our members of the Board of Education for an appropriate response in a timely manner. And so we cannot thank our community enough for their feedback. It's that rich partnership that we have with our community that helps to make Henry County Schools the school district that it is and that it's seen by its peers here in Georgia and all across this nation. So thank you, and please, as always, make sure that you let the board members know your concerns, your thoughts, and ideas.
And we wrapped up our meeting with, of course, the board taking action on personnel. And we welcome just so many new members to our team to serve our young people and our families. And we are proud that you are calling Henry County home. But let's take a look and celebrate some of our newest leadership appointments.
As always, we thank you for tuning in for another Board of Education meeting recap, and we encourage you, as always, to stay informed about all the happenings of the school district, either by your school's website or by visiting our district website, and there you will find all the needed information to help you have a very successful 2021-22 school year. We thank you again for joining in. On behalf of my co-host, Superintendent Mary Elizabeth Davis, I'm J.D. Harden, and we'll see you next time. While this is just a monthly recap of the Board of Education meetings, you can find the full-length version by visiting our website or clicking on the links in the description section below.